So I'll just begin the session. We'll jump onto the questions because I'm sure everyone wants to hear our authors talk. So first, I'll ask you, Neena ma'am. You have studied architecture in London in 1960. Took up painting on return to India. Lived in various cities abroad and in India. What made you decide on Dehradun as home? Ma'am, you'll have to press this a little.
This?
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Well, my husband and I were both keen to settle in a senior community.
Okay.
And we were looking for one. And we found what we thought was a perfect one in Dehradun. So that's what motivated us to come here. And I must say we made the best decision in our lives because we love Dehradun now. Wouldn't want to go back to Delhi or Bombay or any of these places for anything.
I agree. Dehradun is lovely. Mr. Kain, you moved to Dehradun when you were 4 or 5 and continued to make this your home. Share what makes you stay rooted to Dehradun over these years. Sir, you have to press that. You can take
I think so. I'm amongst the lucky ones who can make the place where I grew up his home. I mean, why should anybody leave a place where he's grown up out of shorts and where his school friends were there and where his mom, his dad lived, where his cows and his buffaloes were tied, where the dogs and the ducks were there. And even if I've traveled the whole world, I never left home. I mean, I just came back to where I belonged and I could live nowhere else. I think so that's it's like a tree. You can't uproot it. My roots are too deep into it. So I think it was absolutely logical, emotionally, and physically for me to come back to a place I know so well, everybody I know so well. There are boys from my class who are sitting here. That's 1972. So I would never want to settle down in London or Dubai or Jaipur for that matter. So
I
I'm back
totally
home.
agree with you.
I'm here.
Yes.
Very much here. Thank you.
And we are very lucky to have you here.
No, thank you so much.
I'll move on to Ratna ma'am. The last time when I spoke to you, I think we were trying to discuss the session. And I said, you got married and you came here. And she joked with me. She said, नहीं, मैं तो अपने पति को लेकर आई हूँ यहाँ पे. तुम ऐसी बातें मत बोलो. So ma'am, please share your story. What is your connection with Dehradun?
So I don't think I can exist without Dehradun. It's in every breath, every sinew of my body. My connection is I was born here, I was educated here, and I got married here. You must have heard Dehradun, there's an old saying,
Yes.
I think Archana and I discuss it a lot, that Dehradun girls never leave Dehradun, they pull their husbands towards Dehradun. So that's exactly what happened in my case. I probably left Dehradun for about 12 or 13 years during our marriage. And I think that also, we got 2 postings back to Dehradun when we got married. So it worked out very well. I'll start from the very beginning. When I was a little girl here in school, I really wanted to leave Dehradun. My only ambition in life was to get married and get out of Dehradun and never come back, ever. And now it's just the reverse. I don't want to leave Dehradun at all. I'll just quickly tell you the story because I was born in Dehradun, brought up by my mother and my maternal grandfather. My father was a fighter pilot. His plane crashed 20 days before I was born. So I had a very cloistered, wrapped up in cotton wool kind of an existence. And for me, life was home, school, back home in that order. Evenings were spent reading books because my grandfather and my mother were avid readers. So that was life. And I thought the only way I'm going to get out is to get married. And not knowing that I'm going to come back again. And this is where I've created a fragrant potpourri of diverse professions, starting from wife, mother. I came back, I started a school here, and I influenced so many young minds. And then I became a children's author and seamlessly shifted into young adult writing and now humor columns, which I'm enjoying so much.
Yes.
So I don't think I can exist without Dehradun. It is, they say home is where the heart is. My heart is in Dehradun.
Well said, ma'am. I agree. Congratulations, ma'am, Bijoya, ma'am, to you. Congratulations on your book, Hill Songs of Love and Longing, being shortlisted for WOW Best English Fiction 2025.
Thank you.
The stories revolve around life in Meghalaya, where you come from. You go there often on work and on holiday. You're married into the Sirmaur family and live in Dehradun. Which place is home for you?
For me, both Shillong and Dehradun are very much part of me. They're the two homes I cherish, and I cannot choose one from the other. So my work, and I'm very lucky when I got married half a century ago and came here. And I said, my God, this is just like home. It's just that it's a warmer place, but it's very much like Shillong. I mean, it's green and beautiful, not the Dehradun we know now, but the Dehradun I came to was very much like home, and that is the Dehradun I keep in my heart. Yes, I have two homes, and just to veer a bit,
Yes.
in our tradition, we don't ever leave our mother's home.
Okay.
And in fact, when we get married, it is decided that if there are glaring incompatibilities, and if there's been violence in word and deed, and if there are no children, that's of course a very personal decision, the couple part. The elders meet, the mamas and the fathers and the head of the clans,
Okay.
and in a very civilized way they meet. And I thought this is so important because after COVID, during COVID, I saw a video of a woman who had been rescued in Mumbai, and she was battered by her husband because those are very difficult days. They were locked up, they had no food, and when she was asked, why didn't you go back to your parents? And she said, no, that's not our tradition. And I thought that was so sad. And I think sometimes tradition has to be revised.
Absolutely.
So my two homes are Shillong, and I cannot be boxed just in one. I love both my homes. Yes.
Okay. Very well said. Okay, Neena ma'am. I won't keep all of you waiting, so I'll just keep moving one to the other. Neena ma'am, what is it about Dehradun that inspired you to write your book, as your first book was, your first novel was actually written while you were living in Dehradun?
Yeah.
Ma'am, the mic. I think it's on. It's on. You can take this. Is it on? You can take mine. You can take mine.
Now?
Yes.
Well, I can't say Dehradun inspired me to write because the events that the book deals with happened between 1965 and 80. So
Okay.
obviously not in Dehradun since we've only been here
Yes.
8 years. But what Dehradun did give me was, well, COVID actually gave me the time. And Dehradun gave me this sort of peaceful, secure atmosphere to just sit down. I'd been wanting to write this book. It had been in the back of my mind for decades.
Yeah.
But I'd never really got down to it, partly because of lack of time and also lack of confidence. But I think that's what Dehradun gave me, so that's why.
Oh, very nice. Ratna ma'am, do you feel there is something in the air of Dehradun that everyone wants to pick up a pen?
Well, if you talk literally right now, I think the air is not very good. It's pretty polluted. But if you talk figuratively, it's very uncanny,
Yes.
Dipanjali, that you're asking me this question. It is serendipity, I don't know what. For the last couple of months, I have been thinking very deeply about this fact.
Okay.
That what is it that I somehow have come to understand that I don't want to leave Doon, and I write best when I'm sitting in Dehradun. I may be traveling to different places, I may get a lot of ideas, I may think about it, I may jot it down, but cohesiveness and words to be put in order comes only when I'm back home
Yeah.
in front of my laptop. My children argue, they said, why can't you just travel with your laptop? Because I get very antsy and fidgety, you know, when I'm away for a little while. I need to get back to
Yes.
Dehradun. I miss Doon. So they get very irritated, especially my son. He says, why can't you just bring your laptop and write? I said, there's nothing to write when I'm not in Doon. It's Doon that floats my boat. It's, you know, I up my game when I'm here. It's the people, the queer idiosyncrasies. I take pot shots. Everybody laughs. We just have fun. I'm just happy here. So it's here that, you know, from here that I changed from a shy, diffident young girl. I changed into the woman I am today, relatively confident. I wasn't like this many years ago. And, well, it's Dehradun that's got it going for me. So I think it's, you know, Dehradun and we work well together.
So there is something in the air.
There is, definitely, definitely.
Yes.
There is. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know what it is, but
Yeah.
it's a very, very calm acceptance. I have begun to understand it, and I have accepted it, that I don't think I'm going to leave. I never say never, but I
Yes.
don't think I want to stay away from Dehradun.
Okay, wonderful, ma'am. Thank you so much for that answer. Mr. Kain, to you, sir. Do the landscapes or culture of Dehradun appear in your work directly or symbolically?
Hello. Yes, they do appear in my landscape because that is what I. Can you hear?
You can take mine. I think everybody's pressing.
Yeah, okay. Yes, subconsciously, the landscapes are always in my mind because I haven't found them in any other city in the world. And I've traveled a lot. I've even worked abroad. But I could not find simultaneously a mountain reaching out in summers very green and in winters powdered with snow. And I haven't seen a river so close to my house. And I haven't seen very British kind of bungalows in which I
Yes.
grew up. So I haven't seen the forest reserves in which my house is,
Yes.
or was. So these things definitely influence the way I write, and because that's all a very important part of the way I think.
Yes.
It's not something very external to me. It comes out very subconsciously, even when I'm talking to you.
Yes.
So I'm just thinking about who I am. But apart from that, I think so it's not the only thing I wrote about. And I think so I'm
Yeah.
very, very preoccupied in writing about the past of Dehradun.
Okay.
And not as a historian,
Yes.
because there won't be dates and there won't be events, there won't be wars, and there won't be schemes which are told out, but as about past which has actually somehow or the other miraculously or very carelessly been lost, in which my Dehradun, in which I grew up, has completely got submerged. And nobody seems to be very worried about it, even if they are.
Yes.
Nobody wants to put that down on piece of paper. Now, before I die, I think at least I must leave behind something which they should search for the history of Dehradun of the 60s,
Yes.
like I had to. My good friend Pradeep Singh, the late Pradeep Singh, wrote a
Yes.
lot about the past, and he wrote about these rest houses, and he wrote about the first well, and my
Yes.
good friend Lokesh Ori also does this work.
Yeah.
But then apart from that, I mean, say, why are we not so bothered? I mean, that's what moves me. In between, of course, the rivers will come in, the snow will come in, the children running the forests will come in. So I think it's more about the past and more about nostalgia
Yes.
that my emphasis is on. And I think that's extremely important to me.
I think it's extremely important to all of us because, slowly we're losing out what Dehradun was all about. And with all the new
But
buildings.
Deepanjali, nobody's writing about it.
So you are doing a good job writing about
Just
it
a
now.
little, okay.
Yes. I think it's a good initiative.
Okay.
Bijoya ma'am, how has Dehradun affected you in your journey as a writer? Any plans for a book on Dehradun?
My journey as a writer, well, when I came to Dehradun, it was very much part of Uttar Pradesh. And so I consider it North India. So It affected the translation bit quite a bit. Because when I came to North India, I realized that many people were so ignorant of our part of the country. And they hadn't even heard of Shillong. They thought I was from Ceylon. And, things like that. So when I came to Dehradun, what influenced me was to gather my thoughts and say, hey, I'm now living in North India. I'm married in North India. Let me share some things, the knowledge about the Northeast. And that's how I started doing translation.
Okay.
And that's why I wrote Shadow Men.
Okay.
Of course, I knew that nobody is going to read about North India, so I camouflaged the story into, a thriller.
Okay.
But woven in that thriller are all the questions people ask about matrilineal Meghalaya, why the men are unhappy, and why this particular system is breaking down. It's because money has replaced all values.
Yes.
You don't respect any elder unless he has money. So I wrote all that, but woven into that heavily camouflaged thriller.
Okay.
And translation, when I came here, my aunt told me, if you don't translate this particular book called The Teachings of Elders, the Khasi book of ethics and etiquette, our culture will sink into oblivion.
Okay.
So I was really quite shaken. And I'm not a poet, and it's written in exquisite Khasi. So then I started reading this book, and I'll just finish off by reading one paragraph which inspired me to translate.
Okay.
Because I thought of the universality of the teachings. When I read this, then I realized that these teachings, which have been handed down over the generations through the oral tradition, because we didn't have an alphabet till 1842, were actually relevant even now. So it goes like this. This is what inspired me. Yeah.
Yes.
Whatever you know, whatever you gain, it's useless if not by truth sustained. Even if very rich you become, if no one respects you, what use is the pomp? Even if you are very grandly attired, it's useless, for it's only your shame camouflaged. You may reach the top, sit on horse elephant. If your reputation is sullied, what use is it then? Even if you worship with folded hands, what use is it if you're not honest and kind?
Beautiful.
And I think that kindness, value education, which should include kindness, is very essential in our schools because we've lost the humaneness in us.
I agree.
So when I read this, I said it's actually relevant till now. And that's what I did. And your second question was if I'm writing about Dehradun.
Yes.
Finally, I think I overbooked Dehradun, and I'm a Dehradunite enough because I finished with what I had to say about the Northeast. So I can't keep on and on. So, Dehradun has changed a lot. Like my Dehradun may not be like your Dehradun or your Dehradun or your Dehradun. There's so many Dehraduns that sometimes when I enter these spaces, I feel like an alien. So I want to write about this new Dehradun by talking to people, I know so many of them anyway, about their Dehradun and sort of compiled it into essays. Because their Dehradun and my Dehradun differs a lot. Now it's become a capital town, it has become a huge city, and it's not the Dehradun I know. I'll write about the Dehradun I know, but certainly about the different Dehraduns.
I totally
So
agree.
I'm working on that.
That's wonderful, ma'am. We look forward to your book. I agree with you. Dehradun, it's just been 10 years since I've been here, but it has changed within those 10 years. So, the stories that you're sharing out here about your Dehradun, they've been long gone. And it's important that we write about it and we talk about it so that, somebody can do something about it to keep it the Dehradun that everybody loves. Neena, ma'am, to you. Your recent book, Revolutionaries explores some powerful themes. What drew you to this story, and how does it connect to your earlier work?
Well, this is my...
You can take this. You have it from the That's working. You don't need to press that.
Hello.
This, thank you. It's working? Yeah. Well, this is my first...
No, you press the button again.
I have to keep it pressed.
No, it was already working. You didn't have to. You can take this one. I'll handle that.
Okay, is that... Yeah.
Don't press any button.
Okay. Can you just repeat the question again?
Ma'am, your recent book, The Revolutionaries, explores some powerful themes. Your recent book, The Revolutionaries, explores some powerful themes. What drew you to this story, and how does it connect to your earlier work?
Well, the story is based on actual experiences and actual events, which I wanted to share. But it's been fictionalized for various reasons. The story is about an idealistic young couple from India who are studying in London in the 1960s,
Okay.
which, as you know, was a very exciting time intellectually, politically, socially, and culturally. There was a lot of ferment. It was a time which everybody knows about, you know, the Beatles and Woodstock and all of that.
Yes.
But there was also a more serious side. There were movements questioning the status quo. You know, there was the Black Power movement in America, anti-Vietnam War,
Okay.
anti-apartheid, feminism. All these movements started then, and students were very active in that.
Okay.
So this young couple gets involved in all these discussions, and they become Marxists.
Okay.
And they join a Marxist study circle. But they're not content to just study the theory. They want to put it into practice. So they start going every weekend and staying with a group of Maoist Indian workers in South London.
Oh.
And it's a very, they learn a lot about things, you know. Otherwise, you just read in a book and it's theory. But when you actually experience something, it's very different. So they're quite shocked by what they see and experience. Then they return, after they finish their college, they return to India. And along with two friends who are architects, the woman protagonist is also trained in architecture. They start working in a slum in Chandigarh to try and improve the conditions there. Then they're also invited to do a housing project in a very, very backward, remote part of Bihar,
Okay.
which is so backward that even a car can't go from one village to the other. They have to walk through the jungles to get from one to another.
Yes.
And again, it's a very steep learning curve because they come into contact with sections of Indian society which people like us generally don't meet firsthand.
Okay.
And that also is a revelation. They learn a lot, partly about the limitations of the situation. You know, they try and do a lot of things, but there are so many obstacles in the way. And they learn a lot both about the circumstances and about their own limitations. So in a way, the theme of the book is the journey from passionate idealism to confronting the real world, the hard real world, and how they come to terms with it. And also, it also raises the question of the idealism of youth. I don't know if there are any students over here, but
There are
young people tend to be very idealistic and also very optimistic, and they're very courageous. Do you want me to
No,
stop?
please carry
Yeah.
on.
It's about the idealism that moves people, and what is it that draws you to a particular kind of idealism? It may be spiritual, it may be political, it may be revolutionary, whatever
Okay.
it is. So it's about that as well.
Okay. So these are these your personal experiences as well?
Yes.
Okay. So it's inspired.
Based
yes.
on the personal
Oh,
experience.
nice. So everyone should read the book. It's a lovely book. Ratna ma'am, congratulations on your latest book, Unfiltered: The Little Truths. Uh, that just came out, I think, about a month or so ago.
Yeah, about 2-3 months
Yes,
ago,
yes. Can you share what inspired it and what you hope readers take away from that?
It's unfiltered, the little things, because life is all about the little things. We tend to make mountains out of molehills. And I think this book is just there to remind you that it's the little things that make life worth living. And this book is a collection of my humorous articles, some tongue-in-cheek. I've written,
Okay.
talking about Dehradun, I have written, there's a section in which I've written about Dehradun also, about the present condition of Dehradun, but in a tongue-in-cheek, taking pot shots, and I just hope that the point is driven across.
Okay.
So it's a collection of my humorous articles which have been published in the Times of India Middles on the
Okay.
editorial page and the Garhwal Post. Topics which just come up randomly in my head, and then I just, write. And I'm just enjoying myself at the moment
Okay.
writing them. So one day I was just sitting and thinking, I said, at the end of the day, a newspaper is tomorrow's trash. However many cuttings I may keep or whatever, the cuttings are not going to last. And at the back of my mind, always, it's my granddaughters.
Yes.
I said, what is the legacy I'm leaving behind for my granddaughters? And I have written a lot of children's books, young adults books, but I said, now they're growing up. It would be lovely if I could, just compile it. And I think at the top of it, I manifested it. Everything moved together so seamlessly. Maybe it was my mother who sort of it just happened. This book came about, and the first 4 copies went to my 4 granddaughters.
Okay.
And, it's such a wonderful feeling that, and I think people have enjoyed reading it. I've got a lot of appreciation from everybody. Basically, trying to tell, the takeaway thing, I think it would be just that tell people not to take life so seriously and learn to laugh at ourselves. We as, Indians, especially us Indians, we tend to be very serious and we don't laugh at ourselves so much. We need to lighten up and look at life, the lighter side of life. I would just like to read
Yes,
a
please
little
go ahead.
bit. Successful living is like playing the violin. It must be practiced daily. Live life today. Don't wait for tomorrow never comes. No other word in the English language has to answer for so much sin and folly, for so many broken vows, so many blighted hopes, and so many neglected duties. Some people waste a good deal of time grieving over the time they waste. So look life in the eye, live it, breathe it, and most of all, be happy. Happiness which lies in the little wonders, not in the big momentous events, which in all probability will elude us. If you base your happiness on a great new job, huge amounts of money, or a trip to the South Pole, you aren't going to be happy much of the time. But if your happiness depends on a good breakfast, flowers in the garden, or a nap, you will live with quite a bit of happiness. That is my mantra in life, and I think this is what I was trying to also put across to the people. Just to lighten up a bit. Life is too short.
That's a very good advice, ma'am. And yes, I do agree. Little joys of life actually.
Little joys make up the bigger ones,
Yes,
yes.
they do. And I do find my happiness looking at butterflies and birds.
True.
So I
That's
agree
beautiful.
with you.
Yeah.
Yes. Moving on to you, Bijoya, ma'am. What inspired you to do translations of the indigenous culture of the Khasis of Meghalaya?
Actually, I think I've answered that question.
Yes, you have.
So maybe
can I
about
ask-
the short story, any others? Yes.
I'll ask you about, when you initially started writing, were there any challenges you faced as a new author?
The challenges, I met Amitav Ghosh, and I must
Okay.
tell anyone who wants to write, and he gave me the best advice, actually. He was my brother-in-law's friend
Okay.
in Stephens. I said, Bijoy, if you want to write your first novel, you should know your subject very well.
Okay.
So that's why I wrote Shadow Men, because Shadow Men actually happened one August evening. It's just
Okay.
after my father passed away, and I decided that I'll stay on with my mother. And my sister-in-law, Anita, and myself were walking down the slope,
Okay.
and suddenly we heard this, bursting of like crackers.
Okay.
So she said, it doesn't matter. It's all about, I think some Marwari family that's celebrating something.
Yes.
And then we saw smoke. And she said, I think they're burning some leaves. I said, nobody burned leaves in August because it's a very wet month. Then suddenly my brother Bijoya, then he was like DG BSF that time, not Meghalaya. He said, you stupid woman, you please come down. The militants are coming through our
Oh
compound.
my God.
I said, what? He said, they're firing, not patakas. And we ran in, And while we were hiding underneath the staircase, and my house has a lot of glass all around because the view is good. And then I told my sister Anita, John's wife, I said, Anita, thank God we didn't let the dogs loose. We didn't let the dogs loose. She said, what are you talking? They're militants, We had a very short-lived militancy in Meghalaya.
Okay.
And we really didn't need it. So she said, what? You're talking about militants. I said, yeah, but I'm sure they didn't want to be militants. Mm-hmm. I'm sure anyone who's forced to do something wrong, there must be a very big reason behind it.
Absolutely.
So then she said, oh my God, you've got a different perspective, you better write about it. So then I said, okay. And that's how the book happened. And next morning I went up to my brother's house, my younger brother's house, and they were not there. Then I read Bob Dylan's book. And I was having a cup of tea, the domestic help served me a cup of tea. And I read 2 lines
Okay.
from one of his songs. I was a clean-cut kid, but they made a killer out of me.
Oh.
And I said, I've heard these words before somewhere. Then I remembered a nephew of mine who had joined the Kasi Students' Union. They were demanding for a university and simple things like that. And how he got used by the politicians, and he died an alcoholic.
Okay.
And he used to sit with me, and I was the only member of the family who would tolerate this, alcoholic who was drunk early in the morning. But I got so many stories out of him.
Oh.
So one of the characters in Shadow Men, Strong, was actually my nephew.
Okay.
So I got the inside story of the militants. Because I remembered Amitav Ghosh's, advice. And I would advise anyone who wants to write that, you must know your subject very well, especially your first book, like Neera has done, and
Yes.
of course Ratna.
Yes.
So that's what inspired. Yeah, that's my journey.
Okay.
And then later on, I wrote so many short stories, published all over the world, and of course my latest one, which was shortlisted by Value
Yes.
Awards.
And it's
That was also a face behind a rock when I'm walking, in the moors, in Cherrapunji, or a funeral, or something would strike me, and then I'd weave a story around it. Yeah.
Wonderful, ma'am. I hope you keep weaving stories.
Thank you.
Mr. Kain, for you, sir.
Hello.
Yes. Do tell us about your book in progress, because the last time we spoke, you were saying that there is a book that you're writing about, and I'll leave it to you to share and talk about it with everyone present here.
Yeah, it seems we talked a long time back because my book is just going into publication
Yes.
on the 2nd.
Yes.
So you see, I'm a storyteller, let me tell you very frankly. I don't write about very intense stuff.
Okay.
Though I don't lack intensity, but I find it too much of an issue to
Okay.
bring it out.
Yes.
I'm a historian by nature. I've trained. I've done history as a subject.
Okay.
So, and I like telling stories because I think the best history that you can teach is through very entertaining stories.
Yes.
So my book is anecdotal. It is very storytelling kind of
Okay.
a book. But it's a difficult book for me to have written because it's a book which is called Dehradun, two dots, once upon a time, three dots. Right?
Okay.
So, but it is not just about the 1960s. It's
Okay.
not just about me and the 1960s. Then I'm restricting the Dehradun. It's about the history of Dehradun as it weaves its way through generations from the time when it was called Droni Ghati and to
Okay.
what is now called Dehradun. And it has I would call it interesting because I kept an eye on the audience also. To that
Yes.
extent, I've compromised a little bit. But Dehradun has some very interesting historical facts.
Okay.
For example, a travel from Saharanpur to Dehradun in 1882
Yes.
would take 9 hours from Saharanpur to Rajpur, right?
9 hours.
Now the same travel with the coming of the highway takes 40 minutes, right?
Yes. Yes.
And obviously something has changed a lot.
Yes.
And Saharanpur and these areas surrounding Saharanpur, Roorkee, Dehradun, Saharanpur were infested with crime. And there was one very famous dacoit called Kallu Gujjar, right?
Oh.
So he was the Gabbar Singh of that time. Now,
Okay.
these are facts. These are not. Now, to go through those facts to make sure that they are brought to light to the reader in an interesting way, it's that once upon a time, Dehradun was also like this, and now
Okay.
what it's like this, right?
Yes.
And I'll tell you a very interesting thing. I studied in a school, St. Joseph's here.
Okay.
I studied 6 years in this school, from the 5th till the 11th. We had 11 classes those days. And I never knew that the building that I used to go through every day,
Okay.
and which the principal's office was there, was once upon a time the residence of Frederick Young. Now, Frederick Young was a very able military officer, and I know I can see the time going up. I'll just.
No, sir, please take your time.
She
We've got
was
enough
sitting there,
time.
so
We've
yeah,
got
fine.
enough
I know,
time.
she's doing a job. Now, Frederick Young was a military officer who founded the Sirmur Battalion, right?
Okay.
So, from Sirmur.
Yes.
Now, he came and he helped F.J. Shore, and they more or less stabilized Dehradun. How Frederick runs, what was his personal life, how he managed to do it, how St. Joseph's he stayed, and then in his outhouse, how the Dune Club was built. Now, I've tried to trace that and linked it with some very interesting incidents, including the time when I used to go to the Dune Club.
Oh.
Right, and the Britishers would come and take off their top hats and the coats, and they would hang it. But that's different. No, but I've tried to intersperse it. So the book is traversing from olden times through the times I was, and to what it is at the present. I mean, so we have
Okay.
no canals, right?
Yes.
Anybody seen the East Canal Road? East Canal? Nobody.
No.
6 canals have all disappeared. I used to have chaat at the Chaat Wali Gali. Gone. I used to see, maybe one shop is there. I used to see a lot of movies, and I'm admitting it here. I went for my first date to Lakshmi's picture hall.
Oh.
You don't even know it's gone. I saw do raste there. You see? So now these are things which Dehradun once upon a time was. So it's been challenging, but it's been all pieced out. It's got its manuscripts written. It's got its thumbs up. So it's going to be going into print. Raj sir is doing it for me because I wanted a local Dehradun man to do it.
Okay.
So it's going to be a handy book. The type of book which you may not read while you are in bed and thinking, but the type of book you will like to read it in an airport lounge. The man who saw the ghost, Lord Dufferin. Yes, the Lord Dufferin saw the ghost, and he stayed in Ashley Hall in a mansion which was belonging to Pahadi Wilson. So when you see those kind of chapters, you might as well know a little bit about the history of Dehradun as it was. Kahani hai, anecdotal hai, heavy nahi hai. So that was my passion, and to leave behind so that somebody is motivated to read more about
Yes.
Dufferin, read more about Young, read more about the man who bought Dehradun for 3,000 rupees. Hersey.
Oh.
3,000 rupees he bought it. And then that case still continues. I think so finally it was settled in 1937. But Dehradun has a very interesting history. And because professional historians haven't been able to exploit it, मैंने कहानी में बांध दी उसको. So you might get to read in case you want to read it. Otherwise, I'm not looking for any bookseller or booker's prize or something like that. No, not at all. I'm a storyteller, so I'm going to tell a story.
I think we're all looking forward to it, and we'll all love to read all the stories in it. See, there's an applause for it. I'll now pass on the mic to the audience if you have any questions.
One question to Bijoya, and that is, you have mentioned that things have changed in Shillong. So if you could elaborate on that. Then to Ma'am Manucha, how do you distinguish between writing for children and young adults? And yes, if I'm allowed, if I can.
Can we just take the questions first?
Okay.
Yeah. So Shillong was, it first started as the capital of the East India Company in 1872. And it was a very, very pretty town, apparently. Very, very pretty. And when I was growing up in the 1960s and up to, 50s, 60s, 70s, it was like, this is the Scotland of the East. It was really pretty. And suddenly, when we broke away from Assam, and we carved our own state on January 22nd, 1972, then what happened was, instead of becoming less populated, we had all the villagers coming in and settling down, because there was no development in the rural areas. So it became very, 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 very crowded, and a lot of slums, mushroomed. So it has changed a lot after it became a capital, just like Dehradun. So it's lost its beauty, but the suburbs are still very beautiful. And I don't blame those rural people. The MLAs do nothing, in their constituencies. They come and build villas in Shillong, and they do nothing. In fact, at this time, I went to a very beautiful gorge called Light Loam, and there was this lady, she was selling tea and kwai, betel nut. And I asked her, I said, but you're supposed to get a lot of funds from the government to build tea shops and stuff like that. She said, oh, but we see our minister only during the elections. And since it's been 2.5 years now, he hasn't come. So that's the sad story. Shillong has changed, but in my mind, in my mindscape, it's still the same. Yeah, it's still the same, but yeah.
You wanted me to answer the question. The question, you said, how do I distinguish between writing for children? I don't distinguish. I don't need to. It moves parallelly. Basically, all my writings for children and young adults are when I'm commissioned by publishing houses to write. Like I've just written folk tales, and they've just been published by Hachette and by Children's Book Trust. Whereas my writing for adults, my humor columns is writing for myself. That I do myself. The children's writing has all been commissioned by publishing houses. When they ask me to write on a particular topic or something, then I step forward and I write.
Thank you, ma'am.
Same.
If yeah, please.
No,
So you
please.
can please ask.
I may sound like complaining rather than asking a question, because the answer to why you are in Dehradun and why you chose Dehradun, it seemed to me that Dehradun is just a geographical location. Actually, with the exception of Kallu Gujjar, hardly anybody else was mentioned. And so I think all of you will agree with me that we missed people in your answers. We didn't hear anything about what makes this city so special. Is it because of the people also? That is my question.
people have been a very, very important part of our lives. I mean, in my case, I was born here, so my grandfather, my entire paternal side of the family, they lived here, my dada, dadi, so it was home for me. My mother's been here, she's worked here all her life. So it is definitely, and I think I didn't mention one line which I'd already written in my thing, but it went off, that it's the people, it's the new friends that in the course of my different careers, I have made so many different friends. When I was running a school, there were different friends. Now I've added on, I've left, I'm writing humor columns, different friends. And they've all embraced me with such warmth. So definitely, we made a faux pas. It is very much there. The people are very important.
Actually, Alok, my latest book, I'm writing only about the people of Dehradun. It begins from the domestic help right up to the top officials, educators, NGO people, environmentalists, and, people who are involved in arts and craft. I've chosen one person and their stories. So it includes everyone from Dehradun, right from the, I won't say bottom, but it's like everybody in Dehradun, right from the maid who works for me, right to the top. So it is going to be about Dehradun and their Dehradun. You'll be surprised how different each Dehradun is. So we can't live without people. I'm a very people's person. And the book is about all about people of Dehradun, because the others have been about people of the Northeast.
Good afternoon. I think it's been very interesting hearing a lot about Dehradun, because I don't belong to Dehradun, but I've been here for the last 25 years. So I feel I am a part of Dehradun also now. Here the question is about the past and now the future. I've always heard about Dehradun, green hedges and grey hair. That's what I've always heard about. And I think we all value that very much. But now, we also have to think about the future and how Dehradun can be used for the younger generation. Now, the younger generation, I feel, is still not a part of Dehradun. They all want to go away from here because there are not many opportunities here. So do you feel, though I'm not saying I appreciate it, but do all of you feel that the newer generation should also find a home here? And for that, the progress of Dehradun is extremely important. What are your thoughts on that? Because we want our children with us as well, and they are not here. Because it's not enough. The opportunities here are not enough. So I would like each one of you, if Bijoya ma'am and Kensa, if you could give your perspective to it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Should I take it? Okay.
Of course.
Well, just to take one part of your question, we should think about the future. And that's all very fine. I'm sure we must think about the future. But whenever you meet somebody who's very perceptive and somebody who thinks, he thinks of the future but keeping the past in mind. You can't have unregulated growth and you can't ignore your history. Because in case you ignore your history, then you forget everything else. You're standing on a ground which is absolutely without root. So though I appreciate the fact that the youngsters would probably look for a future, but then my problem is that Dehradun wasn't conceived as a city like that. You see, the reason why we came to Dehradun, and I know I'm going to go out of it now, is because it was a city of green hedges, retired people, bungalows, with laws which said that no house will be less than 2 acres. And in these 2
And
acres,
no boundary walls as well.
70% must be lychee trees.
Yes,
You see,
yes.
1963 Act.
Yes,
So
yes.
what I'm saying is that all of a sudden for people of that generation, of that time, to be uprooted by having multi-storied buildings, I know more people will be accommodated. I know universities will come in. I know industry will come in. I know policing will get tough. I know Lal Batti gadis will come in. But then I feel bad, though I know I can appreciate, But I wish the good future for you because I'm on my way out. I'm 70.
No, sir, we'll see a lot
there's
more
just
of you
about
now.
10 years of active life left. So I have had my share. I played my innings. So just before my innings, I just want to put up on the scoreboard how many runs did he score, how many fours, how many sixes, how many times dropped and all. So then I'm out. And then good luck to you. And I hope the Dehradun of the future would be the type that gives a lot of opportunity. It becomes like Delhi. It becomes like Tokyo. You know?
No. That's not what I was hinting at.
There's no other way. The development is taking place at that part. You see, it's just amazing what I see. My writing comes out of pain of what it was. And I'm not speaking about what it will be. And I'm not even treading on the future. I know politicians are very intelligent, and we had a session before this. They see the overall picture. After all, we are changing demographics in Dehradun. The population has increased. Well, so we need more houses, we need more cars are there, so the canals have to be covered to widen the roads. I know all that. I know, I have a macro level picture. But I was just thinking that my voice could be heard by someone just like I hear the voice of George Northam when he traveled in 1888. It's just that.
So
It's just
future
that.
is not
Nothing.
secured. It has to be headed by the past. Definitely. We have to back it by the past. Nothing grows, if you are not appreciating or respecting the past. But here, we are also thinking that Dehradun was of grey hair
I'm
and
accepting
green
it.
hedges.
I'm accepting it. And good
Yes.
luck. Good luck.
No.
At
I love Dehradun
the
as
future
it
of
is.
Dehradun is you. I'm the past.
Not at all, not at all. We are all a part of it, sir, now.
Anyway,
All
very
right,
nice.
thank you.
Move.
I'd like to share. I'd like to share the experience on World Education Day. I had to give a talk in the Doon School. And at lunch, I was sitting with the children. And one boy, I think all of them from privileged classes, obviously, and he said, "Isn't it wonderful? My parents are going to drive up from Delhi to Dehradun in 2.5 hours, by next year." I said, "And you call that progress?" He said, "Yes, ma'am." I said, "No, it's not. Because would you like that your grandchild will read in a book and say, once upon a time, there was an animal called elephant?" So he thought for a little while, and he said, "Actually, no." I said, "Your child, you may leave him an empire of, you're an industrialist son. You leave an empire, but he'll be a very poor boy if he can see no forest and he can only see the pictures of tigers and elephants and deer in books and films,
Absolutely.
And that's why we have to teach the children about environment that is part of our, inextricably part of our existence, So it's very important. In Bhutan, they've done a very good thing about children not moving away. The king, being a very progressive man, he has built a satellite city near Paro, the airport, which will be technologically as advanced as any city in India and even in Singapore. So that the children will remain in the country, work for the country and the surrounding countries. So our government can think of something like that. We have plenty of land. Instead of building roads up to the pilgrim country for big, limousines to go up, you don't go for a pilgrimage in a limousine. No. Earlier, our forefathers to walk. Okay, go in a car, but just to break this fragile ecological mountain range for the limousines to go up to Kedarnath and Badrinath is very, very retrogressive, it's shameful, and it should be stopped.
We're running short of time, but we'll just take one question from you, sir, and then we'll end the session.
At the outset, my compliments to all our
as we see, large number of,
Yes.
as we see today, I think I can't hear you.
No, it's not here.
As we see today, a large number of people, they do resort to writing their experiences, their thoughts. It's a very good thing. But on the other hand, we do feel that the number of readers are slow and steadily going down. So there is a gap coming up. We have to think as a writers, by request, to give it thought and suggest certain measures to maybe to NGOs, to government. How can this be enhanced so that the efforts, and I know when you write a book, it takes lots and lots of efforts, years of preparations, our people have said. So that must reach out to the targeted audience. In this light, as also since we're talking about Doon, such historic perspectives are being searched, written, preserved for the future. But how do we take it to the students? I know the Ratna ma'am, she has been associated with the schools, dealing with the children. Do we think that we can have a structured kind of some curriculum at appropriate class level that we can be introduced in all the cities which have got historical perspective? All the cities may not be having, but certain cities like Doon, you have already mentioned that so much efforts have gone in. So some kind of thing, maybe in collaboration with the government at certain level, and Dehradun has got thousands and thousands of students. If that message goes, I think it will spread to what we are intending to do. This is just a thought.
Could I just answer it very quickly? My perspective, since you mentioned me writing about children. I'm talking about my personal experience when I was running my own school, and we had these little playgroup children. My office used to be right outside their class. And I used to hear them struggling to learn Jack and Jill, Mary Had a Little Lamb. It used to hurt me. A point came when it started actually hurting me. And I said, what am I teaching my children? I used to sit in my office and I wrote a collection of 44 rhymes, all four-lined. Bijoya has read them, I think. All four-lined rhymes, only dealing with what their curriculum was. They used to learn babies, animal sounds, sharpener, pencil, tiffin box. You know what a 3.5-year-old child, his vocabulary. And I wrote that book, and I self-published that book. That one was self-published, and I took it to a couple of schools. I would say, yes, 2-3 schools took it up for a couple of years. I continued teaching those rhymes till I finally wound up the school 3 years ago. I refused to teach any English rhymes. Now tell me, I'm telling you very recently, this rhyme book was very well accepted. Somebody interviewed me recently, and they said, we love this book. And this book had finished. So I approached a few publishers. I said, let's do this book. Nobody wants to do a rhyme book. They only want to create what is being done. Our children are being fed trash in the name of rhymes, and no publisher wants to do it. Having said that, yes, the stories that I had written, the HRD ministry has been buying. Children's Book Trust does a very good job of publishing books and translating them into different languages. And they circulate it, they take it. In fact, why I write for Children's Book Trust is also because they take it into the deep interiors of the country. I can't say the same about other publishers.
To encourage reading, I suggest storytelling sessions in school. In this hugely fragmented world where all the families are busy doing different things, we hardly connect. I remember my grandmother telling stories, my grand-aunts telling the story, and how we connect with, it's a very great emotional connect, because there's emotional illiteracy, not to mention ethical literacy, rampant. So, storytelling sessions in schools and at home, if the adults take time off, will definitely help the joy of hearing stories and slowly the joy of reading stories. I think we have to start from the bottom.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We'd like to end the session here, and anyone has any questions, the authors are here. You can speak to them after this. Thank you so much for your time today, and please keep writing and weaving stories and inspiring all of us.
Thank you, Dipanjali.